Stop letting life happen to you the Stoic way. You wake up. You check your phone before your feet hit the floor. Notifications. Emails. Someone else's opinion. Someone else's emergency. And just like that, the day owns you. Not the other way around. You didn't choose any of it. It just happened. And by 9 a.m. you're already reacting, already behind, already exhausted by a world that never stops demanding. Here is the thing. The ancient Stoics faced the exact same thing. Not phones, not emails, not social media. But chaos. Political chaos. War. Plague. Economic collapse. The same feeling of being swept along by forces you didn't choose and can't control. And they figured out a way to stop it. Not by escaping. Not by dropping everything and moving to a mountain. But by making one radical shift in how they related to their own life. They stopped being passengers. And they started being drivers. This video is about that shift. It is about the exact Stoic method for taking back authorship of your own life, one decision at a time. And trust me, if you stay until the end, the last section alone will change how you start every single morning going forward. Let's get into it. And if this kind of ancient wisdom repackaged for real life is what you are looking for, hit subscribe and join the community at The Unshaken Order. New videos drop every week, and every one of them is built to make you think differently. Here is a question most people never stop to ask. Are you living your life, or are you just responding to it? Think about your last week. How much of it did you actually choose? Not in the small logistical sense, but in the deeper sense. Did you choose what you spent your attention on? Did you choose your emotional state, or did someone else's mood hand it to you? Did you choose the direction of your energy, or did the loudest notification win? Most of us, if we are being honest, are passengers. We did not buy the ticket. We just ended up on the train. Epictetus saw this clearly. He wrote, in the Enchiridion, men are disturbed not by things, but by the opinions about things. That line is not just philosophy. It is a diagnosis. The problem is never the traffic, never the difficult colleague, never the market crash. The problem is the story you automatically tell yourself about those things. And right now, in 2025, that story is being written for you at scale by algorithms, by news cycles, by other people's anxiety flooding your screen. Epictetus was born a slave. He had zero control over his external circumstances. Zero. And yet he became one of the freest men who ever lived, because he understood one thing: the only thing that is truly yours is your response. That is it. That is your whole kingdom. The modern version of this is someone who cannot sit in traffic without their blood pressure spiking. Cannot read a critical email without spending 3 hours composing a furious reply in their head. Cannot watch the news without feeling personally attacked by the state of the world. They are passengers. Life is doing things to them, and they are just absorbing it all. The practical action here is this. Tonight, before you go to sleep, ask yourself 2 questions. What happened to me today? And what did I choose today? Most people will find the first list is much longer than the second. That gap is where the work begins. There is a distinction that every Stoic philosopher built their life around. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Epictetus called it the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. In his own words, from the Enchiridion, some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, reputation, command, and, in a word, whatever are not our own actions. Simple. Almost insultingly simple. And yet almost nobody actually lives by it. Here is what not living by it looks like. You spend 40 minutes stressing about whether your boss liked your presentation. Your boss's opinion is not in your control. You lie awake worrying about what someone thinks of a choice you made. Their thoughts are not in your control. You cancel your plans because the weather is bad. The weather is not in your control. You are pouring your energy into a bucket with no bottom. Here is what living by it looks like instead. You prepare the best presentation you possibly can, and then you let go of the outcome. That part is yours. The reception is not. You make the best decision you can with the information you have, and then you accept how it lands. That is it. Clean. Decisive. Marcus Aurelius came back to this again and again in his private journal, what we now call Meditations. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Marcus was running an empire. Wars on multiple fronts. A plague killing hundreds of thousands of people. Political betrayal. And every day, he returned to this same distinction. Not because it made the problems disappear. Because it stopped the problems from owning him. The practical action here is to pick one situation in your life right now that is causing you anxiety. Write it down. Then draw a line down the middle of the page. On the left, write everything about that situation you can actually influence or control. On the right, write everything you cannot. Now put all of your attention on the left side. Completely ignore the right. Start there. Now here is what most people never realize. Knowing the dichotomy of control is not enough on its own. Because there is something faster than your reason. There is impulse. Chrysippus, the third head of the Stoic school and arguably the most rigorous logical mind the movement ever produced, wrote extensively about what he called first movements. These are the automatic emotional reactions that happen before reason even gets a chance to weigh in. The flinch. The spike of anger. The flood of anxiety. Chrysippus understood that you cannot prevent first movements. They are biological. What you can do is refuse to follow them. He described the Stoic goal as catching the impulse before it becomes an action. In 2025, this is the whole game. You get a passive-aggressive message from someone and your fingers are already typing before your brain has even processed what happened. You see a friend's holiday photos and before you can stop it, you feel the sting of comparison. You get bad news and within 30 seconds you are catastrophizing about worst-case outcomes that will almost certainly never happen. That gap between stimulus and response. That is where your freedom lives. Seneca put it powerfully in his letters to Lucilius. He wrote, "Retire into yourself as much as possible, associate with those who are likely to improve you." What he was pointing to was the practice of creating inner distance. Not from the world, but from the automatic version of yourself that the world is constantly trying to pull out of you. The practical action here is one of the most powerful things you can do today. The next time you feel a strong emotional reaction, especially anger or anxiety, count to 5 before you do anything. Not to suppress the feeling. To create just enough space between the impulse and the action for your reason to arrive. 5 seconds is enough. Most disasters happen in less than 5 seconds of unthinking reaction. Here is where this gets uncomfortable for a lot of people. Because passive living is comfortable. Being a passenger means you are never fully responsible. If life is just happening to you, then nothing is your fault. The job did not work out because of your boss. The relationship failed because of the other person. You are stuck because of the economy, your upbringing, your circumstances. Cato the Younger understood this trap better than almost anyone in history. He lived in one of the most corrupt political environments Rome ever produced. Julius Caesar was consolidating power. The Republic was dying. Every other senator was cutting deals, looking away, making excuses. And Cato refused. He chose, again and again, at enormous personal cost, to remain the author of his own choices. Ryan Holiday, in The Obstacle is the Way, writes about Cato's refusal to compromise as a model of what he calls amor fati, a love of one's fate, the willingness to fully own your situation without excuses. Not passive acceptance. Active ownership. Cato did not pretend the external circumstances were not real. They were. He just refused to let them become the reason he abandoned his character. The modern version looks like this. You are in a job that is slowly hollowing you out, but you keep telling yourself you will change things later. You are in a pattern with someone that is costing you your peace, but it is easier to keep reacting than to make a decision. You know your daily habits are drifting away from who you want to be, but there is always a reason to wait. Ownership means none of those things are happening to you. They are happening because of a choice you are making, actively or passively, every single day. The practical action is this. Identify one area of your life where you have been playing the passenger. One thing you have been treating as something that is happening to you. Now write down one concrete decision you can make this week that shifts you from passenger to driver. Not a plan. A decision. One thing. The Stoics did not just react better. They prepared. There is a practice Seneca wrote about On the Shortness of Life and throughout his letters. It is called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. The idea is simple. Before the day begins, before the week starts, you sit down and deliberately imagine what could go wrong. Not to spiral into anxiety. To rob difficulty of its power to surprise you. Seneca wrote, in his letters to Lucilius, "Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." When you have already imagined the traffic being terrible, the meeting going badly, the plan falling apart, none of those things can ambush you. You have already met them in your mind. You have already decided how you will respond. This is the opposite of how most people go through life. Most people walk out the door assuming everything will go according to plan, and then spend the day reacting to the 10 ways it does not. Marcus Aurelius wrote, at the very opening of Book 2 of Meditations, "Begin the morning by saying to thyself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial." He was not being cynical. He was preparing his mind so that none of those people could knock him off balance. The practical action here is simple. Every morning, spend 2 minutes asking one question. What is the most likely challenge I will face today? Then ask yourself how you will respond to it before it happens. That is your preparation. 2 minutes. That is all it takes to stop being ambushed by your own day. There is a myth that taking ownership of your life is a single dramatic moment. A revelation. A turning point. A decision made once, and then everything changes. It is not like that. It never is. Epictetus wrote, in his discourses, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The emphasis there is on the do. Not the vision. Not the intention. The doing. Authorship of your life is built in tiny, boring, repeated decisions. What you look at when you first wake up. Whether you respond or react to the first difficult thing of the day. Whether you honor the commitment you made to yourself yesterday, or quietly let it slide. Naval Ravikant, the modern philosopher and investor who draws heavily on Stoic principles, puts it this way. He says that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your defaults, the things you do automatically when no one is watching and nothing is forcing you. Your defaults right now are probably not yours. They were installed by a culture that profits from your distraction, your anxiety, your comparison, your endless scrolling. Taking ownership means auditing those defaults and choosing new ones deliberately. The practical action is to pick one default that is stealing your authorship right now. Maybe it is checking your phone within the first 10 minutes of waking up. Maybe it is staying up an hour later than you intended every single night. Maybe it is automatically saying yes to things that drain you. Choose one. Change it this week. Not perfectly. Just deliberately. We started here. You wake up. The phone is already pulling you somewhere. The day is already happening before you have decided who you are today. And now you know what the Stoics knew. That is not inevitable. That is a choice. A passive one, made by not choosing. And the moment you see it, it loses its power over you. Epictetus was a slave who became the freest man in Rome because he chose his inner response. Cato was a senator drowning in political corruption who chose his character over comfort. Marcus was an emperor holding an empire together through plague and war, who returned, every single morning, to the question of who he was going to be that day. They were not passengers. They were authors. And here is what this actually means for you in 2025. You will not control the economy. You will not control how people treat you. You will not stop the world from being chaotic and loud and demanding. But you will choose your response. You will prepare your mind before the day can ambush it. You will identify what is yours to act on and release what is not. You will catch the impulse before it becomes a decision you regret. That is the Stoic way. Not perfection. Not escape. Authorship. Start today. Not tomorrow. Not after the situation changes. Now. If this landed for you, there is a video on this channel that goes even deeper into how Epictetus built an entire philosophy around one single idea, and how you can use that idea to solve almost any problem you are currently facing. It is linked at the end of this video. Do not skip it. And if you are not subscribed yet, do that now. The community at Thean Shakenorder is built for exactly this kind of thinking, ancient wisdom, applied to the life you are actually living. We will see you in the next one.